Six Nations, folks, is only a week away. Once again, I am joined by Graeme from the Rugby4Cast Sports Forecast Algorithm site, which has got all our predictions, which we're going to go through today. Graeme, you're a Scotsman. Are you at that stage where you've still got your hopes and they have not yet been crushed?
Exactly. Yeah, this is my favorite part of the tournament because everybody's equal and we've still got a chance. And yeah, just full of hope and expectation. And yeah, as you say, nothing has been crushed just yet.
Have you been looking at the old Netflix documentary about the Six Nations just yet? The old Full Contact? There's been a
Yeah. I'm halfway through it at the moment. I need to try and finish it tonight. So yeah, no, enjoying it. It's good. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think of it?
I'm about the same as you. I've seen the first 4 episodes and I'm kind of part of the way through the 5th one. So first episode, I think, had the most Scottish focus. They seem to go down the old Gregor with, Finn, Root, the bit of drama between those two guys. But I don't know, that they seem to be, I don't know, it's the way they edit it, but they seem to be playing up a little bit of the kind of tension between the players and Gregor.
Yeah, a little bit, I think. It's tough, isn't it? I think there's obviously that angle that Finn and Gregor didn't really get on, and I think they seem to both be quite keen to put that to bed now. They both said in their interviews that we had issues. We maybe not best friends, but they seem to be pretty happy with each other now.
Yeah, so, on the same page.
I enjoyed the way they were playing. It was like Finn versus Marcus Smith, and then they seemed to really make a big deal about it. Was like almost Marcus Smith's fault that he missed the last tackle on Doohan.
Yeah.
It's like, I felt that. I mean, don't get me wrong. As a Scot, I loved the drama and reliving that sort of that final try. But I felt it was really harsh and to be like, oh yeah, it was Marcus Smith who missed the last tackle, and that's why England lost. You know, it was.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys who missed tackles on Doohan with that. With
so
that,
I thought that
game
was
in general.
Was a bit harsh on Smith.
But... Yeah, I think it's harder when they're looking at rugby to really get that narrow focus, like compared to like the Drive to Survive, where you've got genuinely just a couple of drivers and then the team manager. So.
Yeah, exactly. I think they obviously pick the people they're going to interview beforehand and then try and afterwards edit things in the game to make
a storyline out of it, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Which is understandable. You can't interview everybody in the team and hope that you get something.
You'll be there all day. Right. Speaking of be there all day, the people that come here for some stats. Let's have a look at some stats. Who's going to win the Six Nations? I had a look at the bookmakers yesterday, which is obviously pushed around by the amount of money which is going on each country by the punters themselves, but they had France winning it. What's the algorithm saying?
We say Ireland. Although, as you can see, it's pretty close in there.
The bookies were pretty close as well, to be fair.
Yeah, Ireland are, we think, 53%, so 50% Ireland chance, and then France are 40%, basically. So 90% of the time, it's one of those two teams.
One of those two sides.
And then the rest is, a miracle chance for Scotland. They're in there. We're in there. But yeah, I don't think that's any great surprises to anybody. Surely that's Ireland and France. Those two have been head and shoulders above the others in recent years. And although they obviously didn't get as far in the World Cup, they are head and shoulders above the other guys. So I'd be very surprised if one of them didn't win it.
So how is it? Because I figured, looking at the bookies odds, the reason they had the French slightly ahead of the Irish was because in their head-to-head clash in that opening round that it's France at home.
Yeah, and that's my hypothesis as well. You can see that. I say I'm not sure. We were actually pretty similar to the bookies with France, 40%. And it's just that the big difference is Ireland, and you can see that actually the difference is Ireland and England in there, basically. So you can see that England are taking a bit of Ireland's chances. But the reason I think that people are, and the bookies are more bullish on France, is that they're not looking at all the fixtures. They're obviously looking at that head-to-head. As you said, first game is being played in France, therefore advantage France, and all the other games are kind of equal. But people, I think, are forgetting all the other fixtures are not equal. They do play them in different places, and it would be advantages to different people. And what you can see here, for example, is that we think it's very, very likely that Ireland are going to end up in 4 wins. You can see they've got 3 games of 90% chance plus because they've got 3 home fixtures. They've got Italy at home, Wales at home, and Scotland at home. We see those as,
slam dunks almost.
Victories all day long, basically. And then they've got an away fixture against England. It's obviously still leaning pretty heavily towards Ireland, which is potentially quite surprising for a game in Twickenham. And I'd maybe be surprised that it's that heavy towards Ireland, but then England haven't been great recently, and Ireland have been very, very good. So maybe it's not quite as strong as that, but I would still say it's advantage Ireland. So.
When you say recently, we're talking more than just Rugby World Cup, right? Because obviously England got to a semi-final, but your data's looking at more than just the literally most recent games.
Yeah, I mean, and even in the World Cup, arguably England made a couple more games, but they were against much weaker opposition, so they wouldn't actually get that much credit for beating them, basically. Whereas Ireland did beat South Africa in the World Cup.
Right.
So, they get a lot of credit for that. So it looks at a much longer time period, and Ireland have been significantly better than England over the last 2 or 3 years, basically.
Sure.
So that's where that's coming from. So Ireland have got 4 very good, we think they're very likely to end up on 4 wins, with that 5th win against France kind of 50-50, as you can see. Whereas France have got a few more games that have got a bit more jeopardy in them. You've obviously got that first game against Ireland at home, which we think they're going to win. But then they've got quite a close game against Scotland the following weekend, and then they've got to visit Cardiff as well. And despite the fact that Wales are pretty, not that strong, but still not a slam dunk for France. So France have just got a few more fixtures that are, a little bit more dicey, basically. So that's why, even though you can see we're predicting France to win a Grand Slam, we think it's more likely Ireland will win the tournament just because of the way these fixtures play out, basically.
Right. Ireland's overall fixtures tend to have say, that kind of slam dunk feeling about them, whereas France's ones, as you say, a little bit more dicey.
If you play these things out sort of 10, 50 or 10,000 times, then Ireland come through more of them.
Slightly more. Yeah, okay.
But so it's quite an interesting distinction, I think, to say that we're predicting France to win a Grand Slam, but we think Ireland
are your favourites.
so I mean,
it seems counterintuitive, but I get it. I get
some people love that, and some people will hate it because they think we're covering our bases, and it's just so it's it's the classic sort of algorithm, hedge your bets kind of sense, basically. So so it should be good. I mean, that Friday night fixture, that first fixture, France Ireland. If Ireland win that, you'd kind of say the tournament is almost
maybe over.
Ireland are very likely to win that from that position. Whereas if France win it, then it would swing advantages towards France, but it's still plenty of jeopardy in there. So it should be kind of hoping for the neutral perspective. You want France to win it, and then keep the tournament open. Let everybody have something to play for, basically, and see how it plays out. So it should be exciting.
Okay, a bit closer to your home. I can see the Scots are on there as well. They're predicted to go 3 from 5.
3 from 5, yeah. But as you can see, I mean, it's a great fixture order for Scotland. Generally speaking, is it easy? Kind of gets progressively harder throughout the tournament, basically, I think. No, it doesn't. I'm talking rubbish. Sorry. But it's quite a good fixture order, basically. So, we start off against Wales and Cardiff. Oh, God. I was going to say, it looks like a weak Welsh side. But
I remember a couple of years ago, Scotland won their first game. I think it must have been at home against England, because a few years ago, it was every bloody year you guys start with England. And then you had second game, Wales away in Cardiff, Wayne Pivac's Welsh side, and you're thinking, the Scotland, after that performance in week 1, are definitely going to go on and do something in week 2. And then, no, it was a banana skin.
Don't bring that back. That was 2 years ago. But that's exactly what happened.
So does this game have maybe a little bit of that same kind of feeling? Like you look at this and go, Scottish side, consistency in the squad, consistency in the coach, more experience. Gatland's had to pick a kind of bunch of youngsters, 21-year-old captain, but you never know.
You never know with Wales, and Wales always get more out of themselves than you feel they have when they name the squad, basically. And they just always manage to get stuff out of themselves, basically. So I guess that's why I don't know what people what the general mood out there is. I think it's probably fair to say Scotland are a better side nowadays, at the moment, certainly. So saying they're favourites to go to Cardiff, but you can see it's 50-50 basically. So I am, going to be a bag of nerves in that game.
You're not taking that one for granted.
Oh, not at all. No, I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be a great game. And as a Scot, obviously, we're going to have to put. I really hope they just get out in front and can just start playing rugby. And because you don't want to get dragged into an arm wrestle with Wales and Cardiff, because they are very, very good at that, and with the home crowd, and Scotland don't travel to Wales well, so yeah,
it's also a funny one because of those two kind of big games against France and Ireland, I feel like your recent record against Ireland is awful, but your recent record against France is actually not too bad.
Yeah, especially at home. World Cup warm-ups, we beat France at home, came back from 21-0 down, it was, to win, and then nearly beat them in the following weekend in France. And we lost the last game in the Six Nations in Edinburgh, but it was close, and they were there throughout. And the previous sort of 4 or 5 games at home, actually, I think Scotland have won, maybe not quite as far as 5, actually, 3 or 4 perhaps. But so yeah, I think there's a very real chance if and Dupont's not there. The France are missing a few players. So if we if we beat Wales in week 1, then we might have a chance.
It's all to play for. I can see a situation where it goes down to that last week, genuine in Ireland. I know it's like there's a lot of flipping of coins here, and they'd have to all come up Scotland. But imagine.
Well, that's it. I'm full of hope. And you say, oh yeah, look, we could beat Wales and Cardiff. It's a weak Welsh side, Warren Gatland, everything, all this sort of stuff. Scotland travel, bang, put Wales away. France are missing loads of players. We can beat France at home. Great. Then we're playing England at home. We always beat England at the moment. Great. We're going to win. We're going to be 3 from 3. Then we play Italy. Yeah. It's going to be a Grand Slam decider. And I've gone down that route several times in my head already. And I've no doubt that at some stage I will, I can see us easily only getting 1 out of those 4 games, basically.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, I can genuinely see that scenario playing out where it's a Grand Slam decider in Dublin, but I can also see a situation where you guys just lose that first game. So
exactly. So I'm. It's a classic Scotland set of fixtures. It's full of excitement and hope and jeopardy, and we will be bitterly disappointed at some stage, I'm sure. So yeah.
How about England? They're World Cup semi-finalists, came within a whisker of a World Cup final.
Yeah, and yeah, they have got an excellent fixture order, as you can see there.
I think theirs is literally easiest to kind of most difficult.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I think their last game is away, whereas the penultimate game is home.
3%, 72%, 72%. Yeah, exactly. They build into the tournament. England, Italy away. They should have more than enough to get past that. Wales at home, great. You're sitting 2 from 2. Momentum is a big thing.
Confidence is building.
All the articles, everything's trending the right way. Great. Then they travel to Scotland. Even though we have Scotland as favourites, I'm not.
It's still winnable for England for sure, 100%, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and they will. I would think the English would be really keen to win that game in Scotland now, because they've lost to Scotland a few times now, and they will not be happy about that. So they will be, and if they're 2 from 2, and Scotland are 2 from 2, that game would be.
That feels like it could be a real crunch game, doesn't it?
Could be great, yeah, exactly. I mean, and they've put together some great fixtures in recent years. They've been really, really good. So I hope this is another one, basically. But England have got a fantastic fix, and then suddenly, if they're 3 from 3, and they've got Ireland at home, and Ireland have lost a game, and Ireland need to win, and they're missing Sexton and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see them winning in France, obviously, but England have got a great fixture order, and I think they are probably underrated in the algorithm a little bit at the moment.
Right.
Always feels like England. They've been pretty hit or miss recently, actually. They're either sort of very good or very bad, it seems. And they've sort of come fifth a few times in the Six Nations, but then they've also won it. So I think it feels like they're due a performance, basically. And
it does seem a hard competition to predict. I mean, you guys, I think it's 4 different winners in the last 4 years, right? So you don't just have this, like the All Blacks bloody win it every year with the Rugby Championship kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. And hopefully this year it'll be a fifth with Scotland. Yeah.
Wales, not predicted to get the wooden spoon, but it's not looking too pretty.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think Wales, they haven't been on good form, basically. I suppose in a similar way to England, they did they had good fixtures at the World Cup, and they, I guess...
Some would say, I guess, overperformed a little bit, like above expectations anyway at the World Cup, topping their pool, record win over the Aussies, but a bit deeper than that, it's still not that pretty reading, is it?
Exactly, yeah. I think it's always tough, and you never want to sort of be too negative about it, but they did have an easy route at the World Cup, but topping the pool, I mean, we didn't have them to top the pool, and they did, as you say, they did smash the Aussies, so they did do very well, but the Aussies are pretty weak as well.
They were a particularly weak Eddie Jones, young Wallaby side, I guess, for the context there.
So I think, and generally speaking, they haven't done too well at the Six Nations, even though they did win it only a few years ago.
Yeah.
But it feels like they are and the squad that Gatland's named is pretty inexperienced.
He's building. He's made no bones about that, right? He's been pretty clear that it's a World Cup cycle project. It's not just they're trying to
But if there is any team that can, as we've said already, can overperform and put in the performances, it is Wales. And I do think there's something in the confidence and the expectation and the belief that a team has, and Wales have a lot of belief. They've won before. They expect to win in the same way that Scotland often don't. So it wouldn't surprise me if they can easily turn things around, and they beat Scotland in game 1. I would be surprised if they turned over England and Twickenham, but they'll be up for it, and they'll go there and they'll give it a good shot. So I think Wales could definitely. I don't see them winning, but they could pull off a few upsets and potentially decide the tournament depending on where the upsets come.
If they can turn somebody over, that'd be. I'd love to see it. I mean, I love to see the kind of underdog story where they've picked the youngsters, and I mean the youngsters don't have any kind of baggage about being in poor form or anything, so they'll just be wanting to give it a crack. So I look forward to see how they go on. And Italy, you have got as wooden spooners. They got a new coach, so it's probably a bit of a rebuilding year for them as well.
Yeah, I mean Italy. Yeah, they are significantly the lowest ranked team in the tournament, both in our rankings and in the World Rugby rankings, and they're just never statistically going to be predicted to do well. Yeah, they could pick up an upset potentially. Ironically, I mean, as I said, I can't believe that I wrote this. The game they're most likely to win, according to the algorithm, is the first match against England in Rome, which is, as I say, can't be many times that's been their...
Yeah, because that's the team. I think that's the only one they've never beaten of those opponents. I think.
Yeah, exactly. They've never beaten England, so. And England do sometimes take a while to gel into a tournament. I think they do sometimes take a while to build. So that's why, in some ways, it's good for England that they have for England they have their easiest opponent first. But likewise, maybe Italy could catch them napping.
Chance for them to catch them. Yeah, exactly.
So you never know. You never know. I'd be surprised if it happened. Feels like England still have too much for them. But
do you have any situation in the Six Nations where you don't see, like, any forecast where you don't see Italy getting the wooden spoon, or are they pretty much locked on?
So Italy, as you can see, 87% chance of the wooden spoon. So there are not many situations. 10% of chances. So on the second tab here, you can see these are the sort of different outcomes in the simulations that we have. So say we simulate the tournament 10,000 times, and theoretically there's 720 different ways the teams can be ordered. If six teams can be in any position, there's 720 possibilities. But obviously,
including an Italian Grand Slam, so very unlikely.
So actually, only 246 of those 720 turn up in the simulations.
I see.
Now the top 20, which you can see here, are the most likely, and these occurred 70% of the time. So one of these 20 is very likely to happen. It will probably be one of these 20 that you see here. And
so just at a glance, I see a lot of Italian in that 6th spot, and I see a lot of France and Ireland in the top 2.
Yeah, exactly. So as you can see, Italy in the most likely situations, Italy are always at the bottom. So yeah, I mean, Italy have won the wooden spoon for the last eight years.
Something like that, isn't it? Even that game where they won against Wales, they still got the spoon, didn't they?
Yeah, no, exactly. They still won the wooden spoon that year. So yeah, I think it's. I know the last game they won before that was Scotland in 2015, I think.
Right.
And I'm not sure they got off the bottom spot then either.
Yeah.
I might be
Uphill
mistaken.
battle for the Italians.
So yeah, so I say statistically, it's hard to make any argument for them going further up, but you never know. And as you say, new coach, and there's definitely more opportunities. Teams are, traditionally you'd always say Italy and Scotland is the game that they would be looking to win, and Italy, they're playing Scotland in Italy, so they will probably still be looking at that. But Wales aren't as good as they have been, and likewise England. So there's more opportunities there in there for Italy. So yeah, potentially they could pick one off.
Do you have anything about Grand Slams?
So yeah, you can see at the top here, Grand Slam chances. It's basically all Ireland, France. We think 50% chance of a Grand Slam, which is actually about right. Usually 50% of the tournament. I think if you look back through the past 24 years, 23 years, 50% of them, roughly speaking, have ended in the Grand Slam. So that is about what you'd say is right. And Ireland 23, France 24, as we alluded to earlier. But yeah, and then a minuscule chance for the others, basically. So yeah, which I think is roughly the same as the bookies have. I seem to remember the.
The bookies had it more like, I think just over 50% chance of one of the teams getting it, but the most likely was no Grand Slam, I guess. I think they had like 45% chance of no Grand Slam or something like that.
Yeah. And actually the Grand Slams, and we're in agreement there. We both think France are more likely to win the Grand Slam, almost exactly. And then I suppose the weight of the fan base and things like that are potentially skewing England up a little bit more than our predictions are. So yeah, that's probably where the difference is there.
Well, it's going to be a fascinating tournament. There's always something about after the World Cup. I mean, Ireland's squad's looking pretty steady, but there's definitely going to be some new blood. There's some, new coaching and whatnot. But first round, I guess that's the one we got to focus on. So first round, you got England.
Yep. So first night, I mean that Friday night. That's going to be similar to the France New Zealand World Cup opener. This is the fixture.
Big game, isn't it?
So we've got France to win that. Obviously at home, it's not in Paris. None of the French games are in Paris. I don't think. I think that's the Olympics. The Olympics this year.
Yeah.
So that might affect it a little bit actually, because there's probably going to be less home advantage for France in Marseille than they might have traditionally in Paris. Although to be honest, the French support is always pretty good.
Vocal.
So yeah, I think it's actually quite good for France that they're maybe touring the country. So yeah, and without a few key players, maybe it might be a little bit closer. I mean, it can't really get much closer than sort of 60-40.
Some French fans also saying they don't necessarily always hit the ground running in the Six Nations. The last few years, they've always had Italy first up, so they've kind of been able to get away with that first game being not quite 100%. But you feel like if they're not more or less on their top game, then Ireland will give them a bloody nose.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't factor that sort of stuff in. We don't look at spots, and we don't factor in tournaments.
That's more just like gut feeling, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, but it does mean, as I say, maybe you would favour Ireland a little bit more than the predictions are giving them credit for here. So it could be an Ireland win very easily. But then Ireland's missing Sexton, and that's a big change for them. So
Big shoes to fill.
yeah, exactly, massive shoes to fill. So yeah, it should be absolutely fascinating. And then obviously Italy, England. We've actually got that as I mean, that looks very low scoring for Italy, England.
That looks tasty. Oh, I would take that. That'd be an interesting watch.
Yeah, I need to say it will be interesting because it'll be interesting to see how. I always feel that Italy come out strong. You know, in the same way that I was saying earlier, everybody's equal at this stage, and they'll come out. They haven't been beaten to the ground yet. They'll come out full of hope and attack and everything. And England do sometimes take a while to gel into tournaments, so it might not be as easy for England as you might think. But I still would be surprised if Italy turn them over. And then obviously, yeah, Wales, Scotland. So yeah, it should be a good opening weekend actually.
Yeah, there's actually quite a lot to like about that.
Yeah,
not too far away now. Yeah, just a few days. If anyone is keen to have a look at all these numbers and whatnot for themselves, where can they find all this data?
So it should be. I'm actually not sure if it's up on the website just yet. It will be on Twitter. You can find it on Twitter. It's up there. It's also on Reddit. You can find links to it on all our social feeds, and it will be.
So Twitter handle is
Rugby4Cast.
Okay.
With a number 4. So you can find it on all the social feeds. It's in our mailing list. It will go out, and I will endeavour to get it up on the website before too long, hopefully. So yeah.
Well, you still got a week to get. Well, you should have the match predictions up already. Yeah.
The match predictions, they're all up already. Yeah, it takes a bit. This is a bit more sort of jiggery pokery to get up, basically. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, Graeme, thank you so much for going through all the data with us. You know, I love looking at the stats prior to the tournament because it kind of gives us something to wet our whistle on, basically, until a ball is kicked. And I wish your boys the best of luck. I swear, if there's a team that I would love to see win it, it's your boys, just because it's been so long. What is it, 1999 since they lifted that bloody trophy, and I feel like you've got the squad which could go close, even if they're not favorites. But I'd love to see it.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. You and me both. So yeah, I think I think we could do well, and you could be there and thereabouts again. But
that's as far as you're willing to hope for.
Yeah, exactly. I cannot see any. I mean, even though I've said and I've given that situation where we're 4 from 4 and it's a Grand Slam decider, I don't see that. I just can't imagine us get to that. And even if we do get to that, we have to go to Dublin and try and beat the Irish, and that we haven't won in Dublin for.
Yeah,
I mean 2007 or something like that, and that was only luck. So yeah. I mean, if we go there and either the Irish are on for a Grand Slam, or they've lost to France and they need to thrash us.
Yeah. Looks like a tough day at the office either way.
So yeah, it's I'd almost rather. I mean, would you rather have the chance of it? Maybe you've got to say you have a chance of it. Rather,
you got to have a chance, even if it gets crushed at the end. You still got to have that chance.
I'd rather just not be in that situation, and then we don't even have to have the hope in the final weekend. We can just. Yeah, no, I think we've got to be in with the chance. So yeah, we'll hope for that, and then we can have it all dashed on the final.
Yeah, the last week, exactly right. All right, Graeme, man, cheers for coming along. Everybody, check out Rugby4Cast. I find it a pretty useful resource prior to every match week. But yeah, man, cheers for coming along.
Thanks very much. Enjoy the tournament.
Cheers.